Welcome back to the show, boys. Congratulations on the opening day win. Brandon, I want to go to you first of all. Comfortable for large parts, a little dicey at the end, but good start to the Premier League season.
Yeah, it's definitely a comfortable game, Terrell. Like you said earlier, Nottingham Forest didn't do too much. We had the majority of the possession, created most of the chances. To be fair, Forest from the opening sort of minute, just you could kind of see their game plan. They was sit back, hope and pray that they could come out of that stadium with a draw, maybe even hit us on the counter and nick the win in the end. But individual quality is what got us through that game. Bukayo Saka's excellent goal in that second goal. Even Eddie Nketiah's finish, I thought he took it very well. Martinelli was exceptional in the build up to that goal as well. But towards the end, I've got to call it out, Tel, because at the end of the day, we're here to compete with Man City. We're here to possibly win the Premier League. Complacency at the end. I don't like the complacency shown by Arsenal at the end there. I know the substitutions came on, kind of changed the game a little bit for Forest. They looked a little bit more attacking and actually started to create a few chances and that. But, you can't be complacent in a game like that. If I look at this game, for example, and Nottingham Forest didn't do anything, and if that was Man City playing Nottingham Forest, they would have slapped them 4-5-6. And instead, we came out in that second half comfortable 2-0 up, and rather than going and being ruthless and going and getting 4 or 5, 6 goals, we decided to allow them back into the game with 3 minutes to go. Got a little bit tetchy towards the end there. And let's be honest, if it was a better side, then maybe, we'd be walking out of there with just a draw today. So, I don't want to see that sort of complacency from Arsenal again. Simple as that. Nottingham Forest, we should be beating them 4-5-0. I'm expecting Nottingham Forest to be one of the teams fighting against relegation this season. And it's an easy enough fixture for us to, come out of that. We see Manchester City yesterday beat Burnley comfortably, walk in the park. And it was a walk in the park for Arsenal the majority of the game, but the complacency, it cannot continue on like that. And I'm hoping Mikel Arteta gets into him about that.
I hear you on that. God of Souls, do you agree with what Brandon's saying there? Comfortable for large parts, but there needs to be a more ruthless edge and more concentration from Arsenal.
100%. I mean, any other day that could have ended up 2-2. They had enough opportunities. A bit more clinical in their sort of final third, and they could have gotten that 2-2, 3-2 even. Yes, we responded well to the goal when we conceded, but we need to be awake and aware for the full 90 minutes. So, now 100 and maybe 10 minutes of the game. So, those extra times are going to absolutely kill teams, whether it's big teams, small teams. If you have the right rotations there, that's going to be a big problem for any team. And when you saw Elanga come on, the pacing behind, us keeping the high line, us not having, Gabriel in there as well, really did make a big difference with the way we wanted to attack. We got too comfortable. Again, this is Arteta's this is where he needs to prove himself a little bit in terms of making the changes at the right time. I felt once Elanga came on, you've got to react to that. You've got to make a change and get someone who's naturally more right-sided, or get Ben White to become wider to cover that threat. And that's the only reason I feel like they did go and end up scoring. And I get it, counter attacks happen. When you're defending when you're on the attacking phase of these set pieces, you're vulnerable to attacks. But at the same time, we need Arteta to be aware of these changes and think, okay, we need to change the shape a little bit. We need to go a bit more defensive to cover for certain changes. Because like, Brandon said, when you come across a bigger teams with bigger depth, especially in the Champions League, you've got to be, as much as you've got to be proactive, you've got to be reactive to changes as well. Because when you look at someone like, let's say, Bayern Munich, they could be taking Leroy Sané off and bringing Coleman on. That's fresh legs. That's going to be pacing behind, and you've got to be able to react to that. So for me, look, it's the first game of the season. We did win the game at the end of the day. We did look comfortable. We did what we needed to do. But we need to, especially, with Man City doing what they did, comfortable 3-0. I don't think it was as comfortable as people think. If, Burnley have a clinical striker, they could have easily taken the lead in that game as well. There were a few early opportunities there. So yeah. I think both teams are showing a little bit signs of vulnerability. But again, this is why we call these two the best teams in England, because even despite those little fears, they're still getting the 3 points and they're still getting the game off the line. So at the end of the day, I'm happy we got the 3 points. We needed to react to the pressure. Last year, Man City or whoever, we weren't even in the title race, but we put it on the Premier League. We went and won the 3-0. We made the statement that we're here to stay, because Crystal Palace last season, the season before, beat us 3-0 at their ground. So the first game, there was a lot of pressure on Arsenal. Oh, they beat you. They did this. They did this. This time around, it was Company versus Pep. Are Burnley, the promoted side, going to be able to do something on the opening night? And Man City held out. Haaland did what he needed to do. 6-game drought, ended that with 2 goals. And I feel like the narratives, like Nketiah under pressure, got his goal. Kai Havertz under pressure. I think he had a good game, held the ball up well. So both teams are breaking their narratives early on. So I think it's a brilliant opening 2 games, and we just need to keep it going.
I get where you're coming from there, Devon. Welcome back to the Terrace, mate. It's been a while, my friend.
Yeah,
were you happy with this opening game? How do you feel about it?
It's week 1, and we got 3 points, and it's my birthday tomorrow. So
happy birthday!
Thank you, man. I got my birthday gift. I want to kind of ease everyone's mind as someone who's pulled his calf recently. That's a calf injury for Timber. Everybody's chanting ACL or MCL. That he reached back, the calf locked up. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty bad strain. I'm thinking maybe 4 to 6 weeks. That's just from personal experience with that injury. I think today you see that Arsenal really hasn't learned much from dropping points against West Ham and Liverpool last season. Us not getting the 3rd goal is going to catch up to us. It's going to smack us at one point this season, which is why I don't understand why we shut down at 2-0. 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in this sport. So we have ruthless attackers. We need to go get the 3rd goal every chance and just shut the game down. We get super complacent. I think that this is going to come across as judging the player a little harshly, but I think Thomas Partey has proven himself to be a defensive liability late in matches. He tends the tried flip over Declan Rice last season. Today he's just jogging back after a turnover. Ben White forced to cover Olawanini in the front post. And also, too, I think you're seeing why Arsenal's bringing in David Raya, because Aaron Ramsdale is a horrible near post goalkeeper. All of the goals that get scored on him get scored near post. And that's a crime as a goalkeeper. You cannot give up near post goals. The goal today was near post. I understand it's a reaction thing, but his positioning earlier on, I forget who took, I think it was Aina who took the shot, where he was anticipating a cross and it just goes wide. I think Ramsdale is a little cocky back there, and that's why you're bringing in Raya. So if those are my 2 bad things about the game, or semi-bad things, I think everything else on the pitch was great. Martin Odegaard is class, and we are lucky to have him. Bukayo Saka, worldy of a goal, but my player of the match is the guy that just controls the engine for this team, and that's Martin Odegaard. I think that he's world class and one of the best, creative midfielders on the planet. Other than that, like I said, it's week 1. It's 3 points. Yes, you should be beating Forest by more, but I would have been happy with 3-0. I hate giving up goals at home and not having clean sheets, because we know goal differential can be something. But it's 3 points. It's week 1. Hopefully Timber's injury is not that serious and we can get him back pretty quickly. But all in all, I'm pretty satisfied.
I hear you on that, and I think you're right. Week 1, 3 points is probably what matters more than anything else. Nathan, welcome to the Terrace. I know it's your first time being on here. Do you kind of concur with the boys? Sort of happy with past, disappointed with others, but week 1 and you move?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I thought it was a game of 2 halves, really, in terms of performance. I was really happy with the first half. We controlled the game. We weren't making risky passes. We took our time. And there was an element of City to it in that regards. And then in the second half, it kind of dropped off. I felt we were a bit more careless, and we saw kind of little patterns from that last season coming in. And that seemed to kind of creep in towards the end of the game. And as we lost that control, they got their counter, scored their goal, and it was disappointing in that regards. But I also saw teething issues yesterday with City. I didn't see the best City, and we've seen that historically. So last season, we started fast and then we tailed off. So I'm not really too fussed, as long as when it's, the crunch time, we're in the best best form to kind of go on and compete and actually challenge for that league.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from, mate. I do, and it's always a hard one when the opening day of the season, unless you're playing a rival. Or if you were away at Newcastle and 1-2-1, I think there'd be a very different feeling. I want to go to some of these super chats and get your reactions to it, boys. We're going to get young Samuel on in a minute. We've got some of the boys backstage as well.